Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of That's What's Up Wednesday. So today, it's been a little bit, so let's catch up. Me and my husband both had COVID a few weeks ago, blah blah blah. And then I just didn't have anything. And then I saw this thing on Pinterest. It was this little box looking thing with these little silhouette little things. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe there, you can kind of see it now. And it tells you about women of the Bible. So we're gonna do a series, and it's gonna be women of the Bible. So let's pray and get started. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the ability to be able to get back to doing this. I know it's been a while. I just pray that this touches somebody, and that even though it's women of the Bible, men can still watch. Let them know that. But anyway, Lord, I just pray that you guide and lead my speech, what you want me to say, speak through me and through other people. And let's get started. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Okay. So this week, we're going to talk about Sarah. And no, it's not because Sarah's my sister that I chose that one. It was actually the first one that I saw. So, I mean, I could have started with Eve, but then I don't know what order they go in. Eve. Who's next? I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So let's start with Sarah. So you can read about Sarah in Genesis chapter 12 through 23. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here. We'll be here for days and read all those chapters because Genesis is pretty lengthy in chapters sometimes. So let's just start with, who is Sarah? Sarah is the mother of the nation of Israel. Sarah is the wife of Abraham, and throughout the chapters you can kind of see her struggle with infertility and faithlessness and doubt and just throughout her whole story. So Sarah distrusts God's plan for her life and timing when it took years for God's promise to come true. God ended up being faithful. She just ended up being 90 years old, which is very old to have a baby. Well, back then they lived for a while, so maybe 90 was like a new 60 or something. I don't know. So I find that very interesting because Sarah is much like us today. And us, or not just us today, but us, anybody from any time span, is where it's hard to trust God in the length, and when waiting. Okay, it's hard to trust God whenever He's asking us to wait for a long period of time. And because it gets harder and harder as the time passes, and your faith seems to be stretched super thin, and you just kind of like, well, God, you're asking me to wait, but when? And it's not for us to know when, He's just asking us to trust Him throughout the period of time. And maybe it took Sarah till she was 90 to finally let go and fully trust God, and then He blessed her. And maybe she finally was like, hey, forget it, I'm done, and then trusted Him. But how come it always seems that whenever we give up, our blessing seems to come? I think it's because in those moments, it's not that we give up, but it's that we fully release the I don't know the word I'm looking for. We finally release control of waiting. You know what I mean? And I think that's what God is just asking us to do. We hold so tightly to waiting and to what we want, instead of just releasing it to Him and saying, okay, God, whatever. And be happy in the moment and serving Him and doing what He, wants us to do. But in that meantime, Sarah not only told her servant to go lay with her husband and created a whole all-out generational war for years and years to come because she had Ishmael. Instead of waiting for God, she interfered with God's plan. And it ended up not only hurting her relationship with God, but hurting her generations, her line, because her son her husband is the father of many nations, but her son is, Israel, But I just find that interesting that people think the Bible's outdated, it doesn't apply to me anymore. Clearly Sarah's story applies to many of us today. Waiting is the number one most, I personally think, hardest thing that we do, and in our relationship with God. It is the most testy, most difficult, because in that time comes many other things: temptation, frustration. You get mad at God, you get angry, you get impatient, and you want to just fist fight God. I mean, how many times have we been there? I have wanted to fist fight God ignorantly, knowing that obviously you could win. But you get mad and you think, where is this blessing you so lovingly claim that is mine? Where is it? I've been waiting. I have been faithful. I have been sitting here just doing what you want me to do, and you get mad and you get frustrated. But what we don't realize is God is asking us to do it wholeheartedly and joyfully and prayerfully. And we do get mad in those moments, and we do get frustrated, and we do want our blessing right now. Not only is it because it's an immediate, I hear so many people say it's because we live in a right now society. Well, yeah, that's true, but even back then in a not right now, society, it's still hard to wait. It doesn't matter what day and age you're in. It doesn't matter, if you get things right now, you had to wait like 10 days to get a piece of mail. I mean, I don't know, a month to get mail. It doesn't matter. Waiting is never easy. It doesn't matter what it's for. Maybe you're waiting because you want to have a baby and it's just not happening right now. Maybe you're waiting for your spouse. Maybe you're waiting to hear back from the doctor about something, or maybe you're waiting for healing, or maybe you're waiting for some financial breakthrough. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It's hard to trust God in the waiting. And I think the point is that He's asking us to walk through it with Him. And I think when we get mad and we get frustrated, it's because we take our eyes off of walking through it, and we look up and we realize, and then we look back and we see how far we walk with God and how much we don't have, instead of looking at what we do have. And I think that that's important. But what can we learn from Sarah's story? Well, quite a few things. The promises of God will always come to pass in His time. That is one of the hardest things. I mean, I don't think it ever gets easier. Sarah struggled through the waiting for a child and tried to take things into her own hands, only to be met with disappointment. Sarah's life teaches us to trust fully in God's plan and in the fulfillment of His promises. Yeah. That's hard. That is very hard. Very, very hard. And some people, like me, learn it the most difficult way. And some people just get it and they're okay. Everybody has their pits, And it's hard to wait. And it's hard to trust God in the waiting. But it's so important. Because taking things into our own hands only hurts us and the people around us. And it's hard not to take things into your own hands, especially young girls. If you're watching, it's very hard not to take things into your own hands. Go on a dating website, or maybe instead of trusting God, which is nothing wrong, going to a doctor to have a baby. Sometimes you need help, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, instead of trusting God, we tend to do things outside of His will or plan for our life. Had we have just waited, for that spouse to come, instead of going out and searching for ourselves, or waiting for the perfect time for God to say, all right, we're gonna have a baby, or instead of going out and doing stupid things for money, you just wait for Him to deliver to you, because He will. And maybe that's a little bold of me to say about some of those things, and I've never been in that, some of those specifics, so maybe I'm talking out of my booty, but it's true. It's easier said than done, for sure. Just some people just say, well, just trust God. Well, easy for you to say, and then it's like, shut up, It's especially coming from a person that doesn't struggle with it. It's like, well, easy for you. You don't have that problem. You know what I mean? But let's pray to be a little more like Sarah this week. Not Sarah, my sister. Sarah in the Bible. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all you've given us. Please help us to learn from Sarah's story and trust in your timing and your faithfulness. It's one of the most difficult things I've ever had to walk through, and I know, especially for not only young people, but older people too, it's hard to wait. It's hard to trust in your timing, especially because it's like, well, what do you want me to learn in this time? And what do you want me to know in this time? And it just seems like you're not talking to me. It seems like you're not listening to me. So Lord, show us the way. Help us to walk through you through the wilderness, walk with you through the wilderness, walk with you through the waiting and the faithlessness that we might have, and to trust in you, and honor you, and just wait upon you, and not interfere. In your holy name I pray. So what are we going to do this week? Be a little more like Sarah. Trust in His faithfulness and His timing, and I promise He'll come through. Always. It's very hard. But you can do it. You can do it. Okay. Bye.